I sat in the kitchen, staring out the window and reflecting on my life. I had been married to David for 15 years. Our marriage had started with great love, but over time, everything turned into a routine. Every day was like the one before, taking care of the children, cooking, working, and rare evenings together. David worked hard to provide for the family, and our communication became less and less frequent. There were no longer those emotions in our marriage that once made my heart beat faster. Deciding that I needed to change something, I signed up for a gym. It was my decision to get some time for myself and take care of my well-being. I felt that it would help me feel better. On the very first day at the gym, I noticed him, Leo. Young, attractive, with a charming smile, he was the new instructor. I immediately felt an inexplicable attraction to him. Our first interactions were insignificant, exchanging glances and smiles during workouts. I noticed how his eyes lingered on me a little longer than on others. One day, after a workout, Leo approached me and started a conversation. He was interested in my progress and gave me tips on exercises. We began to talk more often, sharing stories about our lives. I felt like I was coming alive again with Leo. I started looking forward to each workout, knowing I would see him. This attraction grew with each passing day, and soon I realized that Leo had become something more to me than just an instructor. I started seeing Leo outside the gym. At first, it was casual coffee meetings, then longer lunches. We talked about everything: his passion for extreme sports, his travels around the world, my unfulfilled dreams, and my frustrations as a housewife. Every time we were together, I felt an increasingly strong connection between us. During one of the workouts, Leo was helping me with my exercise technique. He touched my body, gently pressing on my hips to show the correct position. His hands were strong and confident. He came as close as possible to me from behind, and I could feel his warmth. Each touch sent a shiver through me. At one point, I felt my body reacting to his touches, and I felt a significant wetness between my legs. It was both thrilling and frightening. After one particularly intense workout, I went to the locker room to take a shower. I took off all my clothes and felt the sun's rays fall on my naked skin, illuminating my large and firm breasts. At that moment, the door opened and Leo entered. His gaze stopped on me, and I saw his eyes light up with passion. We were both sweaty and aroused after the workout. He approached me, never taking his eyes off my body. We locked ourselves in the locker room, and I tried to stifle my moans to avoid attracting other gym-goers. It was a passionate and forbidden moment, full of energy and desire. His touches were insistent and hot, and I couldn't resist. Every meeting with Leo filled me with life. I felt desired and young again. He told me I was beautiful, that he had never met a woman like me. His words and touches made me forget everything. I became an expert at hiding the truth at home, making excuses and erasing compromising messages. But inside, the guilt was growing. I knew I was playing with fire and risking losing everything I had, but at that moment, immersed in passion, I didn't think about the consequences. My life turned into a double game. On one side, I was a caring wife and mother, and on the other, Leo's passionate lover. Every workout we spent in his office where no one could see us. We locked ourselves inside, and our bodies merged in a single surge of passion and desire. Leo was always tireless, his hands exploring every part of my body, and I couldn't get enough of him. It was our little secret, our forbidden joy. At home, I became a true actress. I skillfully hid the truth from David and the kids, coming up with convincing excuses for my absences and deleting all messages from Leo. But inside, the guilt was growing. I knew I was playing with fire and that it couldn't last forever. However, in those moments when I was with Leo, all of it receded into the background. His touches, his words, his passion, all of it made me feel alive. One day, after an especially passionate meeting at a hotel, I accidentally left my phone on the nightstand. I didn't notice it until I got home. Panic gripped me, but I tried to calm myself, thinking David never checked my phone. However, that evening, something changed. When David came home from work, I immediately felt the tension in the air. He was unusually quiet and avoided my gaze. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table, his face pale as if he had seen a ghost. "Victoria, we need to talk," he said in a quiet but firm voice. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, trying to stay calm. He pulled my phone out of his pocket and placed it on the table. How could you do this? How could you betray us? His voice trembled with rage and pain. My heart stopped. David, it's not what you think. Not what I think, he interrupted me, slamming his fist on the table. I saw all the messages. I saw what you wrote to this Leo. I tried to explain, but the words caught in my throat. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Please, let me explain. Explain what? How you deceived me? How you deceived our children? His voice grew louder, and he stood up, gesturing wildly. You destroyed everything, Victoria. Our eldest son, Alexander, ran into the room, hearing the shouting. What's going on? He looked at us both, trying to understand what had happened. David threw the phone to Alexander. Read this. Read what your mother has been doing behind our backs. Alexander took the phone and started reading the messages. His face gradually changed from confusion to horror, then to anger. You cheated on Dad? His voice was full of disappointment and pain. I tried to approach him, but he pushed me away. Don't touch me, he shouted, running out of the room. David took the kids and left, leaving me alone among the wreckage of our family. I stood in silence, realizing that my life was shattered. After David and the boys left, I was alone in the house. My whole world had collapsed in one night. I couldn't believe that everything we had built was now destroyed because of my mistake. The emotional explosion that happened the night before left me in a state of shock and despair. I tried to pick up the pieces of my life, but it seemed impossible. My sister Jessica came to my aid. We had always been close, and at that moment, her support was more necessary than ever. Jessica hugged me, listened to my tears and assurances that I was ready to make amends. She stayed by my side, helping me with everyday tasks when I was too overwhelmed to do anything myself. Her presence gave me some hope for recovery, but soon I began to notice that Jessica was spending a lot of time with David and my sons. At first, I thought she was just trying to be a bridge between us, helping us find a way to reconcile. However, with each passing day, her presence in their lives became more constant. She cooked David's favorite meals, helped Alexander with his homework, and played with the younger one, Kevin. My sons increasingly turned to her for support and advice. One day, I decided to visit my sons without warning. When I entered the house, the scene in the kitchen made me freeze. Jessica and David were sitting at the table, laughing and chatting as if they were happy together. But the worst part was that Jessica had placed her hand on top of David's hand. That touch seemed incredibly intimate and painful to me. My heart tightened with pain and jealousy. Was it just a coincidence, or was Jessica really trying to take my place? I felt anger rising within me. I couldn't allow my sister to steal my family from me. That night, I confronted Jessica, accusing her of betrayal. She tried to calm me down, assuring me that she had no intention of ruining my life. But in her eyes, I saw something that made me doubt her words. I knew I was to blame for my life going off the rails, but what I saw still hurt me deeply. One evening, when the kids were at friends' houses, I decided to go to David's and try to talk to him. I hoped that despite everything, we might find a way to reconcile. As I approached the house, I saw the light in the living room. I quietly entered and headed towards the kitchen, but the sounds of muffled laughter and soft conversation made me stop. What I saw shattered me completely. Jessica and David were standing in the kitchen, close to each other. Her light dress barely covered her figure, and his hand was under it, gently stroking her thigh. They were kissing, and I felt the world around me collapse. I couldn't hold back any longer. How could you? I shouted, entering the room. They both turned sharply, and confusion and fear flashed across their faces. Victoria, it's not what you think, David began, removing his hand, but I cut him off. Not what I think? Are you kidding? I saw it with my own eyes. You betrayed me, David. And you, Jessica, my own sister. Tears streamed down my cheeks, but I couldn't stop. Jessica tried to approach me, but I pushed her away. You ruined my life, Jessica. I trusted you, and you took advantage of it. Great way to support your sister, isn't it? David stood up, trying to calm the situation. Victoria, please, let's talk calmly. This is hard for all of us. I sighed, knowing I was at fault. Hard for you? What about me? I know I caused pain, but that doesn't justify you. Must be nice betraying me behind my back, huh? Jessica frowned. Do you think you're the only one suffering? We're all suffering because of your actions, Victoria. But of course, you wouldn't understand that. And so you decided to betray me this way? How noble of you, I exploded. You, my sister, and you, my husband, behind my back? I couldn't stay in that room any longer. I ran out of the house, feeling my heart breaking into pieces. Depression consumed me, and I sank into darkness, refusing to accept reality. It had been a few weeks since I ran out of David and Jessica's house. Feeling like my life had been shattered to its core, I sank into depression, seeing no way out of this darkness. But one morning, waking up and seeing my reflection in the mirror, I realized that I couldn't continue living like this. I decided it was time to seek help. I found a therapist, and it was one of the hardest but most important decisions of my life. My therapist was understanding and patient, helping me sort through my feelings and actions. He helped me see that I didn't have to hate myself, but instead learn to forgive myself and build a new life. Soon I realized I needed support not only from my therapist, but also from people who had gone through similar trials. I joined a group of Alcoholics Anonymous, even though my problem wasn't with alcohol, but with dependency on destructive relationships. The group welcomed me with warmth and understanding, and I found new friends who supported me at every step of my recovery journey. At the group's meetings, I heard many stories of people who had faced incredible hardships and yet found the strength to recover. These stories inspired me and gave me hope. I started sharing my own experiences, and it helped me realize that I wasn't alone. The people in the group understood me like no one else could. At the same time, I continued to see Leo. I realized that I wouldn't be able to restore my relationship with David, so I decided to keep seeing Leo to distract myself from my problems and clear my head. Leo became not only my trainer, but also a friend with whom I could forget my worries. We met not only at the gym, but also outside of it, spending time together and enjoying every moment. I tried to mend my relationship with my children, but David was trying to limit our contact, and the kids were angry with me. This added pain and complicated my path to recovery. Nevertheless, I knew I had to keep fighting for my happiness and independence. After starting my path to recovery, I realized that I needed to keep working on myself to achieve real change. I decided to focus on my career and improving my mental state. Immersing myself in work helped distract me from the pain and depression, giving me a sense of purpose and stability. I started writing letters to my sons. In each letter, I shared my progress, apologized for my mistakes, and explained how I was working on myself. I knew they were hurt and disappointed in me, but I didn't want to give up. I hoped that, in time, they would be able to understand and forgive me. Each letter was filled with my love and desire to mend our relationship. I wrote about how much I missed them, how proud I was of their achievements, and how much I wanted to be a part of their lives. These letters were a form of therapy for me, helping me realize that I was ready to fight for my family, no matter what. One day, after several months of writing letters and trying to reach out to my sons, I finally received a response. Alexander agreed to meet with me. It was the first step towards mending our relationship. I couldn't contain my joy and excitement. We met in the park. I saw him from a distance and felt my heart beat faster. As we approached each other, I saw a mixture of emotions in his eyes, from anger and disappointment to curiosity and hope. "Hi, son," I said, trying to hold back tears. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me." "Hi, Mom," Alexander replied, his voice calm but wary. "I decided to give you a chance to explain." We sat on a bench and I began telling him about my journey to recovery, how I was working on myself, and what I had learned from my mistakes. I apologized and asked for forgiveness for the pain I had caused him and the whole family. Alexander listened attentively. When I finished, he sighed and said, "I don't know if I can forgive you completely, but I see that you're trying. That's important." Our conversation was long and emotional. I felt that it was the beginning of something new, a step towards mending our bond. I knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but this first step gave me hope. My life continued to be filled with struggle. After our relationship with Alexander began to gradually improve, I received a notification from David about filing for divorce. It was a blow I expected, but it still hurt. David was demanding full custody of our sons, which meant I had to fight for my right to see them. My legal battle began with finding a good lawyer. I knew that without professional help, I wouldn't stand a chance of defending my rights. My lawyer was experienced and confident, and he immediately started preparing for the court. He helped me gather all the necessary evidence and prepare arguments to defend my right to communicate with my children. While the legal battle was tense and exhausting, I found support among my colleagues and friends. They understood what I was going through and offered their help. Some of them became witnesses in court, testifying that I was actively working on my recovery and that I was striving to be a better mother for my children. My colleagues at work also provided me with immense support. They helped me cope with work duties when I was too tired or stressed from the court cases. It was a time when I realized that despite all the difficulties, I wasn't alone. I had people who believed in me and were willing to help. Each court session was a trial. David and his lawyer presented their arguments, claiming that I was unfit to care for the children because of my past behavior. My lawyer defended me, pointing out my efforts to recover and improve my mental state. I did everything possible to prove that I was capable of being a good mother and that my children needed me. It wasn't easy to hear the accusations and realize that my past mistakes could cost me my future with my children. But I knew I had to fight until the end. This battle gave me strength and determination that I didn't know I had. In the end, the court issued a decision that allowed me to see the children. It was a compromise decision, but it gave me the opportunity to maintain a connection with my sons. I knew there was still a lot of work ahead to fully restore our relationship, but this decision was an important step in the right direction. After months of struggle and recovery, I felt ready to start a new chapter in my life. The decision wasn't easy, but I realized I needed a change of scenery and a fresh start. I decided to move to a new city where no one knew me or my past. It was a chance for a new life, an opportunity to start over. The new city welcomed me with warmth and hospitality. I found a cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood and began to settle in. But despite everything new, I felt like I was missing someone who could be my loyal friend and support. I decided to get a pet and chose a puppy. A cute Labrador I named Max. Max became my new companion. He filled my home with joy and laughter. But soon I realized I needed help training him. I contacted a dog trainer at the local animal training center. That's how I met Alex, an experienced dog trainer who immediately impressed me with his confidence and kindness. Alex was tall and athletic, with warm eyes and a charming smile. He quickly bonded with Max, and I noticed my puppy felt comfortable around him. We started meeting regularly to train Max, and each time I admired Alex more. His professionalism and caring attitude towards animals were evident. One day after training, we decided to take a walk with Max in the park. It was a warm evening, and the air was filled with the sense of flowers and freshness. We sat on a bench and watched Max playfully run through the grass. "You've done a great job with Max," Alex said, smiling. "He's become a really obedient puppy." "Thank you," I replied, feeling my heart start to beat faster. "But it's all thanks to you. You've helped us a lot." My relationship with Alex continued to grow. With each meeting, I felt us getting closer. He was attentive and caring, always ready to support me in difficult moments. Our connection was built on trust and mutual understanding, and I realized that I had found love again. However, to move forward, I knew I needed to reconcile with my past. I realized that I couldn't fully start a new life until I forgave Jessica and David. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was necessary. I decided to meet with them and discuss everything that had happened. We met at a cafe, and I was nervous, not knowing how the conversation would go. But I understood that I had to do it. "Hello," I began, sitting down at the table. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." Jessica and David looked cautious, but nodded. "Hello, Victoria," Jessica replied. "What did you want to talk about?" I took a deep breath and started speaking. "I know we've all caused each other a lot of pain. I'm responsible for that too. But I want to try to start fresh. I want to forgive you, and I hope you can forgive me." David looked at me with surprise. "You're really ready to forgive us?" "Yes," I answered sincerely. "I've realized that holding a grudge inside only hurts me. I want to be happy and free." Jessica looked touched. "I'm sorry too, Victoria. I know I acted wrongly, and I hope we can put this behind us." We spent that evening discussing our mistakes and expressing mutual forgiveness. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was the beginning of a new chapter in my life, one free from resentment and pain. I realized that everything I had gone through had made me stronger. I was ready for new challenges, knowing that I could overcome any difficulty. My new life was full of hope and opportunities, and I felt strong and confident.